Hi, welcome to the second half of our second session. Where we left off, we're going to stencil the design on this hat. So I decided to use tonight is a brick red on a gray canvas. Now, before anything, another part to remember, you always want to tape down your stencil. Tape it down, that keeps it from moving around when you're working. If it moves too much, you're going to mess up your design.
What
So
is your
what I use regular Scotch tape. Scotch tape works just fine. So with my sponge brush, I begin the pressing technique. Just go up and down with my brush. I do this because it keep the paint from bleeding underneath my stencil design. And I'm using regular acrylic paint for this project. But mainly I would use a fabric paint, but sometimes fabric paint doesn't come out as clear as acrylic paint, and it also takes a really long time to dry. So I still find acrylic the best way to go.
What about when you're washing the fabric?
That's a good question. When you wash your fabric, this colors never bleed, especially with fabric paint. It doesn't bleed because it's made just for fabric. Now acrylic, it may fade just a tiny bit, but the color stays strong. The color stays strong on your design, on your clothing.
Can you mix acrylic and fabric paint?
I do. I usually use the fabric paint because it comes with the sprout. So with that sprout, I can like outline my design in like a bold and broad color. It design will be kind of have an embroidery. It sticks out a bit. I love that effect when I use fabric paint. So yes, I use it a lot. Really, I'm gonna show you in another session how I use it in my designs and some of my designs.
Now, what keeps your stencil from breaking?
Actually, the acrylic paint does. Because even though poster board is a hardened material, that acrylic, once you layer it, but a lot of acrylic, it becomes harder and harder. It just becomes kind of like difficult to break. But also, I keep it wrapped in a portfolio. I keep it in a portfolio slip sleeve. I think you call it the slip sleeve, like in between like plastic,
Mm-hmm.
in between some plastic and on my portfolio. Keeps it nice and crisp and unwrinkled. But mainly, the layers of paint that you use, got to use so many colors. Like with the stencil, usually over and over and over again, different colors, and over time, the acrylic kind of like strengthens the stencil. So it kind of works.
In this segment, will you be creating an overlay?
Overlay, not on this one, but I will get to that. The shirt I'm wearing is an overlay design. This is one of my own creations, one of my own designs.
Tell the YouTube audience what an overlay is.
Overlay is like use one color and you overlap it with another color. Now that it can be tricky sometimes because you have to have a little bit of downtime for your piece to drop before you add another layer.
How long is normally the amount of time a person should wait?
With acrylic, it could be 10 to 15 minutes. With fabric paint, it could be up to 4 hours. Depends on how much paint you use, or how many layers you or how thick you lay it onto your design, onto your clothing. Now, I don't tend to use thick and real. I don't tend to use I don't tend to overlay my colors too tough or use too much coat. Um, okay.
Go.
And I tend to not to use too many coats because I don't like having to wait so long. And also it kind of makes the clothing feel a little bit heavier, like the design heavier than the clothing. So I'll try not to do no more than two coats if I have to. But usually I just do one. One is enough usually.
So if a person is having trouble creating a clean stencil, what are some suggestions you have?
What do you mean by clean stencil? You like cutting it out?
Mm-hmm.
It takes practice because when I first started this, I made so many mistakes and had to do over, start over. But you can't just get discouraged. Just keep trying. The more you try, the more you get better at it. And it's like I said with the painting, you just have to experiment with it. Everything is experience. Mix your medium. Everything art is just an experience. You know, you don't come in knowing everything. You just have to you try tribulations, just learn it. And also watching other people if they're into that kind of thing. You know, watch them. You learn from them and apply to what you know.
Now, where can people buy your original art pieces?